Hey guys, welcome back. Well, it wouldn't be astrophotography if we didn't have a few problems along the way, and I've certainly been experiencing a few. We'll leave the weather aside for the minute because there's nothing we can do about that. Sometime back, I had a good night of imaging, brought my equipment back in, set it up the next night for the following good night of potential imaging, and got this error message saying it couldn't detect the UPB V2 controller. My power box had died. Or did it? Let's take a look at what Pegasus Astro did to fix my power box and return it to me. Of course, as all problems do, they start with an email back to the supplier saying, we have a problem, and I described my situation in particular, and within 6 hours, they were back in touch with me, and we were walking through some additional questions and answers to try to diagnose the problem. One of the convenient things that Pegasus Astro can do from their headquarters in Athens is to remote in to your laptop and try to talk to their equipment through your laptop. They use AnyDesk for this. I've never used AnyDesk, but I did install it for this troubleshooting session we were going to have. It looks like a pretty good piece of software, just as an aside. I use Remote Desktop to access my PC out by the telescope, but I think I'd try AnyDesk if I couldn't or didn't want to use Remote Desktop. So for those of you looking for an alternative, if you're not already aware of AnyDesk, give this a try. The application is free if you're not using it for commercial applications, so it should be perfectly fine and free to use for just backyard use. We tried on several occasions to set up a connection. There was one time when they tried to get into my laptop and I just didn't happen to be sitting in front of it at the time. I responded back with an email that, okay, I'm here, but then they were off doing other things. And then we set up a time and they didn't show up because they were tied up on perhaps on some other things. But this whole time zone thing between the United States and Greece is a big problem. And it's one of the challenges we have in trying to coordinate our times. About the time I'm getting up to start my day, they're ending their day. And so it's really a bit of a challenge to arrange one of these sessions, but it proved to be very useful, at least in the sense that it confirmed to Pegasus Astro that, yeah, there was a problem. The unit was basically dead and could not be accessed through the special tools that they were using to try to get direct access to the unit. So they recommended that we send it back in to Pegasus Astro for repair. They use DHL for this. It's very convenient. Pegasus Astro prints out the documentation, they email it to you, and then you arrange for DHL to come to you to pick up the unit. There's no money handed over at this stage, either with Pegasus Astro or with DHL. DHL just comes over to pick up your unit and they take it over to Pegasus Astro for inspection. Now, in my case, it leaves Dallas and goes to their hub in Cincinnati, and from there it flies to Leipzig. And you'd think after that it would go to Athens, at least that was the plan. But as I watched the progress of my package throughout from the moment it left, I found that no, it flew back to Pennsylvania, then it flew to New York, then it flew to Leipzig, and now I was holding my breath to see if it was going to actually turn back around and fly back to Pennsylvania. No, it continued on to Athens and finally got there. And on the day that it arrived, which I believe was a Thursday, I got an email back from Pegasus Astro saying that they fixed it and here's the PayPal amount we're requesting, $50. I paid that on a Friday. It was back in the mail on a Monday and back in my hands on a Wednesday. Not bad. Here's the email I got from Pegasus Astro. They very quickly identified a problem with the unit. There was a damaged or burnt USB chip. I'm not sure how that chip got burned. Certainly, there was nothing on my end that I recall causing a problem or anything unusual in the previous night's imaging. I power my system from house power that goes to an AC/DC converter, but I also have a power conditioner in the line to make sure that I get uniform power that goes out to the telescope. So I'm not sure what happened there. Perhaps it was just a defective chip. But in any event, they were able to identify it, replace it. They tested all the functionality, which is great, proves that it works on their end. And for a relatively small fee of only about $50 for shipping and for the repair, it's shipped back to me. And sure enough, within 4 days, within receiving it, 4 days later, it's back in my hands and I'm testing it, and things look pretty good on my end so far. I was a little concerned when my 3-year-old Pegasus Astro Ultimate Power Box failed. I quickly did some math and said, yeah, that's about $600 a unit after 3 years. So it's $200 a year. I was not happy with that return on investment. So I was hoping that this thing could be fixed at a reasonable cost and sent back to me because that's a pretty expensive piece of equipment and a pretty necessary piece of equipment. Once you get one of these units integrated into your system, you realize how useful they are, and you really can't live without it. You can't just unplug it and move on with imaging. It's a integral part, as much as the telescope is, to astro imaging in your backyard. Contacted Pegasus Astro, and of course, as most of us have experienced, we get almost immediate, considering the time zones, reply back from them. We started sharing more information with them so that they could get a better idea of what might have gone wrong. We agreed that the best thing to do was to do an AnyDesk session, a remote session where they could log into my computer and try to access the power box directly through the BIOS, I guess. I'm not familiar with the tools they were using, but it was very efficient, very quick, and in very short order, they confirmed that, yeah, you probably need to send this thing back to us so we can take a look at it in our shop here. And as this was going on, decided, what the heck, I better go ahead and buy another power box because I wasn't sure how this story was going to end. The failed power box finally arrived in Greece after a little bit of vacation in Europe, and Pegasus Astro was able to repair it the same day it arrived. I paid the $50 fee, which is quite reasonable, the next day, and that was a Friday. And then on Monday, DHL picked it up and sent it back to me, and I had it back in my hands on a Wednesday, which is not bad at all. I've since plugged in the power box, and sure enough, it is recognized by the Pegasus Astro Unity platform, which I'm now using. I haven't been able to test it outdoors yet, thanks to the weather, but by and large, it seems like everything's working. And who knows? Maybe the weather will clear and I'll actually get a chance to use it again. Okay, guys, well, I don't have any, but clear skies. And keep in mind that in this kind of a hobby, with all the different pieces of equipment we have, software, we're going to encounter problems. But as long as everything gets fixed, all's well that ends well. You might also check out AstroQuest 1. Kurt had a similar problem with a ZWO camera and an oil leak, but it turns out that ZWO and Agena Astro were very quick to resolve his problem to his satisfaction, and everything is back working. And that's what we need in this hobby. We need equipment suppliers such as ZWO and Pegasus Astro to step up and help us out when there's a problem with this equipment. And in my case, Pegasus Astro was very helpful, and it looks like in Kurt's case, ZWO stepped up and helped out as well. And Agena Astro is a great distributor that will help you out if you have issues. They helped me out, and they helped out Kurt. So I'll leave a link to Kurt's video in my description here in this video. Go ahead and check it out, and let's just be thankful that we have some companies that are willing to work with us to fix problems with equipment that we have. Okay, guys, that's all I have for today. See ya.